space, and we get real high. It's a Toke Talk Show. Come on by and make lots of music and art with the Toke Talk Show.
Well, it's that time again, Tanner.
Yes, it is. Welcome
to the Toke Talk Show
with Tanner
and Derek.
We have a special guest today. He hosts at a radio station.
Yes.
Yeah, every Friday. He's a friend that I've known for a few years. Met him at open mic at Cannabis Culture Lounge.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah,
that's a hot spot.
That was a lot of fun. Anyways, let's introduce Mark De Monoloq.
Hey, Mark.
Woohoo! Yeah, Mark.
You're definitely one of the coolest guys I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just off the bat.
Right off the bat.
It's only the second time we've met.
I just gotta say it.
Oh wow.
Thank you for
coming.
coming.
Man.
Thank
I
you.
like your blazers. I was trying to match your
Man,
aesthetic,
that's
but-
slick though. That's slick too.
Oh yeah, Everybody who comes here has their own different style. One of our episodes, someone's in pajamas, right?
Yeah, it's just like the coats themselves is kind of a gimmick, you know. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a talk show.
No, it's
we
nice,
want
it's
to
nice.
feel as professional as possible, and so
No, you
having
look,
a like.
you look very slick.
Thank you.
all about the slickness here.
Yeah, isn't that the best part? Freedom of expression, you know?
True
Yeah.
enough.
Well, thank you for coming on our show tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, he hosts at a radio station. Can you tell us what the radio station is?
Yeah, it's just called the Observatory, CJSF 90.1 FM, SFU, Burnaby. I've said that so many times, just like on the mic. They're like,
Yeah.
"This is the Observatory." It's like I've
It's just
rehearsed
like
that. So many
that's
times.
Yeah.
that's how it's
Yeah.
done.
Well,
That's how it's done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what
This
we're.
is the Observatory, CJSF. Anyway,
That's what we're trying to do with our show.
yeah. It'll get caught in your head. Real quick,
That's
so.
it, right? You need it to be something
Yeah,
catchy.
yeah.
It's one of those things, you know.
Yeah, it's just every Friday we have 7 hours of airtime from 10 p.m. till 5 a.m. and we just jam, talk our shit, freestyle.
Yeah.
Everything's a freestyle.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, that's
I've said before, improv is one of the best.
Freestyle, free of
Forms.
style.
because it's
Art.
like psychedelic and like there's really no holds bound with the music. You go in so many different
Oh, yeah.
directions, and
Honestly,
it's just like
the music like possesses you for a little bit because you're in this like sound studio. You got like the headset on. You're kind
Yeah.
of just like, all of a sudden it just starts like hitting these weird nodes in your brain. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh god.
Yeah, totally.
You get
Well,
lost.
actually, it's funny because I was editing the videos earlier and I was watching the part where you were doing something on the Moog synthesizer and it was like that wow, wow, wow. And then like I was doing my own thing and all of a sudden I heard that and I look up and I'm like,
First a salad to make sense. First
wow. I look at you and we're like, wow, wow. We're like, oh, that's so awesome. We're just like, yeah.
I love it. How many years have you been doing this?
Well, I mean, we've been doing the radio station since 2012, so shit, 7 years.
7 years.
Damn.
Holy crap.
No, but like
That's a lucky number.
the first like 4 years, 3-4 years, it was the EDM show.
EDM.
So it wasn't the Observatory always. Yeah, we had.
What was the shift there?
Well, it was funny because it was a complete opposite vibe of the show we have now. Because we had it was a very structured show. Like we would always feature guest DJs on, and they would spin for an hour, hour and a half, and then we would interview them right after for maybe an hour or two, right? And then that was it.
Right.
We didn't even have 7 hours at the time. We just went till 12:30. So, but yeah, and it was like that for 3 years. We just did the same thing every week. And it was always about the guest, always about the you know, and it was cool. We had a lot of fun. We met a lot of cool people and talented DJs across the city. And yeah, I don't know. After a while, we got really bored because like we weren't.
Monotonous, right?
Yeah, and we got caught up in this pattern that just kept repeating itself every Friday. And again, like the first few years, it was fine. It was really fun. And
Yeah.
it was cool. And
Sometimes you just gotta break the wheel. You know?
yeah, I just got Game of Thrones, you fucked up. Just saying. That's not an official endorsement of the show. It's just my own opinion.
Oh,
No, but like, so like, yeah, I guess our show is just kind of becoming a little stagnant for us.
Yes.
Not so enjoyable. So yeah, we decided to pivot, I guess, and just we took a selfish turn because we're like, let's make it all about us and how we jam. But no, we're so much happier.
Right?
So like, it's it's great because
If you're happy doing it, then people watching are gonna be happy. And I'm sure there was a point where people probably were like, they're really into what was going on, but then if you start feeling like, with what you're doing, then the audience will start feeling it too. So maybe it was refreshing for
the
that.
The death of creativity is when you stop caring.
Yeah, and it got to the point where we were asking the same questions to different guests. It was like, oh, what kind of gear are you using? What's your favorite DJ? Who inspired you to get into DJ? And it was like the same things over and over and over again. So we're just like,
Now you're branching out. It's more kind of
and we had one
variety.
friend who was actually, I think he was the 4th DJ on ever on the show. His name is Sajid, and he was like begging us not to transition. He's like, no, you guys have such a good format and a good following, and people love it, and it's such an awesome, form of media. And we're like, yeah, but at the same time, like we don't feel it anymore.
You gotta evolve, right?
Yeah,
you gotta evolve,
so.
and having more variety, like having like you can still kind of do guest sort of jams and stuff, but it's just more open-ended, right?
Yeah,
Because now
sure.
you
Like
have,
what we did the other night
you
was
had us on
pretty
the other
cool.
day,
Yeah.
and we were just talking about
Past
the show
tense,
and-
even though it's gonna all be shown after.
Well,
pretty much.
yeah,
We'll,
basically we
we'll just
filmed
have
that
to
stuff last
admit
week
we
and-
filmed it. Yeah.
No, we'll just step through a time portal. We'll do it.
stepping through the portal.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but it's cool. So yeah, we're enjoying it so far. And yeah, because we have 7 hours now, so it's like
That's
like I was
mad.
mentioning earlier. It's like it's hard to plan for 7 hours. Like, to be like,
Seriously.
okay, here's how we're gonna do the first hour, and it's like
It's like
it
a
just-
live
it's-
stream now, right? It's just like-
it would take up too much of our time that it's just more fun to just do it live in the moment and be like, okay, what's gonna happen? And
For real.
sometimes things are great and the shows are amazing, the jams are perfect, and sometimes there's an array of technical issues, and it's like, well, this is what we observed this week.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
observed technical issues. Great.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job, us.
But I mean,
That's all part of it, right? So
That's the story, right? That's the story that
that's the real shit.
you guys
know?
are telling. Yeah, it's,
and I think people who listen appreciate that.
what kind of audience do you guys have? Like, it's hard to tell, right? Like, how
I don't
can
know.
you
There's a way to look online to see when people are like just on the CJSF's
Tuning in.
website. But as far as I know, there's no way to tell how many people tune in on FM radio.
That's the thing about that old
So I-
stuff, right? They didn't know, like, who,
Yeah.
was just tuning in. Like, unless
Yeah.
you're doing a survey, you have to do a survey house to house on a paper.
Yeah. So
I also wonder how many people are listening to the radio in general, because like whenever I'm in a vehicle, I don't go on the radio.
I'll say, like, I have some favorite radio stations around town that I'll always, like, it'll be one or this one or that one, basically. And,
Yeah, there's some good Punjab stations out of Surrey too. And
Oh, yeah.
I've got like saved on my car, and there's some Commander ones out here in Richmond.
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Most
Yeah,
of the
so
rock stations are
yeah,
pretty decent.
yeah. There's like the few corporate radio stations that everyone knows around here, but then it's like there's actually like if you just go through the dial, like
Yeah.
almost every single what is it, half a point decibel of a
Yeah.
frequency is it's all taken up by something, you know. So there's
Somebody's
so much,
trying to sell something.
there's so much energy in the air.
Vibrating.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's cool.
I want a radio station that plays songs that you wouldn't find on a radio station.
that's us.
Fair,
Hey,
fair,
I
fair
wouldn't
enough.
find what we played on the radio as anywhere else.
That's a
you
good plug.
know? yeah.
Observatory, non-radio music. On the radio.
When you want to listen to the radio,
Yeah.
but you don't.
Well, we always talk.
It's like it's a running joke. We came up with this when we were high. We were talking about not striving to be the best of the best, but just be whatever we can in the moment, whether it's good or bad.
It's good
And so
philosophy.
the thing we came up with is strive towards the indefinite non-point, the point of non-existence, the
Wow.
point that cannot be defined
Yes.
until we've already until it's happening in the moment, until it's live.
I've heard you
The
guys
minute
say
you-
that
the minute you
before, but
talk-
I've never understood that.
Yeah, well, it's
Mori says that.
it's just
I've
some-
never heard.
cannabis-induced gabber, you know. But no, it's like
My
because the
favorite
minute you
kind of
try and
gabber.
define it, it's already in the past, and it's like we don't worry about defining it, it's selling it in the moment. So the whole show is just revolving around striving for this indefinable, indefinite non-point. So
Wow.
Wow.
I like that.
Just
that could be the synopsis of
changed
the show.
my
right?
Yeah.
life a little bit. If anything, I think that changed my life just a little bit.
Just a touch. I think it, you know.
because like everyone wants to be the best of the best, right? But you're not always going to be the best.
Well,
That's
it's
the thing.
Usually,
Like, especially-
usually the people who are the best are the people who can find that moment.
But even the people who are like
Better.
just the concept of the best, like it's such a relative term, you know. It's
Really
like you need
is.
something as a background reference point to what you're comparing it to determine what's better or than this thing or what's worse than this thing. It's all
Yeah.
the same. It's all
Perspective.
exactly. Yeah. So the concept of better and best just doesn't really.
Yeah, so
Better or worse.
it's not so much that this show or the last show's better. It's more as like it's different,
It's
and
just different,
to
yeah.
you enjoy it more.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
in that way, it's better to you.
But even the ones where I'm like resistant towards, if I think I have a bad show or something, it's like if I really look at it, it's like, well, that wasn't objectively a bad show. It's just
Right.
like this is what happened, and I'm having a reaction to it that is
Exactly.
labeling it bad.
I'll-
But it's like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
no objectivity to it
I'll-
whatsoever. So
I'll be honest. Some of the worst stuff that's happened for us during filming has been like the most funniest and entertaining parts of the show.
Yeah, totally.
So
right? It's always how it
we're,
happens.
we're like, okay, we
Yeah.
can cut this out, but then when we look at it, we're like, okay,
It's good.
we'll just keep it.
Yeah.
We'll keep
Yeah,
it
yeah.
because
It's for your own video vault, you know.
people,
Exactly.
yeah, people can see how hard it is actually to make something like this, and also we get to look back at the mistakes, and if we're
Yeah.
not making the mistakes
Then
a
you
year
can-
from
you
now,
can
then
learn,
we
right,
like it.
from that.
Yeah, for sure.
You have a catalog of learning.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
speaking of
Yeah, should we
learning,
light this joint?
and I.
We're doing a lot of talking, but not a lot of token.
That's it. I know. You'd think that coming on the Token Talk Show, you would be, toking quite a bit more, but I find the conversation always
That's
takes
okay.
over.
Well,
Yeah,
I
of course.
think it's the way we've set it up because we bring you in and then we go right into the talking.
Yeah.
And it's not like we can smoke before we introduce
Mhm.
Mark.
Exactly.
So it's like we need to figure out a little segment before we get right into the
Yeah,
interview.
and I think it lubricates the gears a little bit. So
I think what
is a
Snoop
nice
Dogg
social
does in his show is he literally just starts lighting it. Like he doesn't talk about it, he just like lights it and he'll start smoking and he'll pass it while the interview is happening.
I like that. It's subtle,
Yeah.
So what made you start this show?
Pretty much coming out here blazing and just having awesome talks and
Yeah.
just being like,
So you're
hey,
already
we should
token
have a
talking.
talk show.
This
Might as well
but
film it.
The set itself is like.
And then I
That's
thought
just
like,
how we were hanging out
Yeah.
back here, putting our drinks and chilling.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
we just originally thought like, it's like we joked that it felt like a talk show.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like the token talk show. That was one of the first things I said. Like,
Oh, yeah?
and then
Nice.
just like it kind of like because it rang, I was just
No, that's
like,
perfect,
what would
for
we
sure.
do if we were out here toking? If we had a talk show, I would just think all talk shows interview, right?
Exactly. And then having guests on.
We
with
can't interview famous people, but we
Yeah.
can interview people in Vancouver,
people that
and
we
that's
know.
even better. That's
Yeah, yeah.
our that's our gimmick.
Yeah, our livelihood really is just we meet people, and a lot of it is just friends we make along the way, right? But we know so many talented people that it's like, we want to show that to the world. We want to show ourselves and show them and sort of create like sorry about that. That was my
No, it's okay.
We want everybody to like have a spot in the spotlight, or a place in the spotlight, and or a place to be found. You know,
Yeah.
a place to be like, this is the community I'm part of, and just a sense of self-identity. Like, yeah, the world can know that you do this. So pretty much the more successful we get, the better chance that everybody gets their
Yeah.
voice heard.
The
So I think it's the
yeah.
best. It's the best motivation of teamwork out there.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think in many ways that's exactly why I went onto the radio station. Because I mean, I should mention too that actually the EDM show Mori had started that herself.
Interesting. Yeah, that's cool. She's great. Like,
I love
Mori
that.
is the co-host for those. And there's also the nameless one, Dream Juica. He shows up. He does Hip Hop Happens. I'm gonna plug everyone's show right now.
Yeah.
Hip Hop Happens every Saturday, 12 midnight. I guess it's Sunday morning technically. He goes till 5 a.m. too, or I think it's 6. One of the two. It's super late. Anyway, all on CJSF Radio. And then lately, on Tuesday, it's called Bitcouver. It's all just video game, chiptune music.
I had a crazy conversation with him about that.
Yeah.
He was really like, he's been doing it for a little bit. Like he's someone that would be cool to have on the show too. Like any one of those people are really cool.
All right, I have one more question. All right, what makes doing the radio station important to you? Like, why have you done it for 7 years?
It beats not doing it.
I like it.
That is such a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Straight up. That's my answer.
It beats not doing it. Why are we trying to do this show? It beats not doing it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I could stay home. I could,
Could do something else, but
yeah.
this is what
I could be sleeping at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Friday. I don't know.
But it's just you like doing it.
Yeah. Generally, yeah, for sure.
I love it. That's
I don't know.
nobody
The
needs
number
more
of-
reason than that. Truly.
The number of times I feel good about it outweigh the number of times I feel bad about it, and therefore that percentage drives me to go up there again.
That's awesome. That's like play by
That is
play.
life advice,
play
though.
by
That's
play
for
life
how
That's the thing.
advice.
If something exceeds, I don't know, definitely more than half. If only half the experiences are good, then I'd be like, maybe I don't know, I'm doing something better. I don't know, maybe 75, 80% of the time. If something's good, then I'll be like, I guess I'll do it.
Yeah, I guess I'll keep.
I don't know.
This thing
I
is
just-
a roach.
I
This thing is
75%
hard
of the
to.
time. I'll do
I
it.
don't know.
Every
Generally, I
time.
just like doing things that make me feel alright, because I'd rather not waste my precious time doing something that I don't.
Powerful, man. Powerful stuff.
Well,
Well, that's
That's why I'm here.
I
'Cause I
think-
like Token and I like talking.
well, why don't we
what a
see
better way
you
to
over
spend
at
my
the
time.
radio station?
Yeah, let's pop over there right now through our time portal.
Chicken nuggets, chicken nuggets, chicken nuggets, chicken nuggets. Let's go to McDonald's. Can we go to McDonald's?
No.
Oh. We're on the road heading. Oh, shit.
Hey.
We're on the road heading to SFU 90.1 FM to do
Token talk on location.
on location. Yeah.
So,
So as you can see, we have reached the great outdoors.
yep,
And by that, I mean we're inside this car.
the Great White North.
The Great White North, eh, bud?
Yeah, and we're gonna have an interview with the radio hosts, and then the radio hosts are then gonna interview us on the radio. So it's like
So
an
we
interview
believe,
with an
yeah.
interview, like interviewception.
Yeah. So we'll see you there. All right, so we just arrived at the radio station.
Yeah.
So 90.1 FM. Come check it out with us.
Let's go take a look. We came such a long way, such a journey.
Let's take a little tour inside.
Okay. Now let's see what we're doing.
All right.
Oh, interesting. What a space. Saturn, where are we?
We're at the record spot. I don't know.
Is it
It's like, look at all these
the haunted music layer?
records. I haven't even heard of half of this stuff, or even more than half of this stuff. And it just goes down.
Whoa, that's fucking crazy. And it's just this little tight space.
Actually, come over here. All these, like, you pull them out, and all these are so spots. You have records
Oh man, that's
Oh.
intense, dude.
down there. Got records all over here.
Oh man, this is truly a music paradise.
So we got some rooms that are locked right now. So
Such a colorful little goings on here, I'd say.
Yeah. Let's go see our good old boy Mark.
All right.
Our boy Mark.
Well, let's do it. Oh, what is going on in there?
All right. Let's oh man.
Oh,
Your good boy Mark here.
hey, Mark.
Sorry, just sound check.
This is the jam space.
That means we're good to
From what I've heard.
All right. This is
The Toke and Talk Show
with Tanner,
and Derek.
and we're on the show, or on Mark's.
We are on the Observatory on CJSF 90.1 FM.
Enjoying all the observations that we can see from this observatory. Yes.
All right. So for our deep talk today,
Deep talk. What is the importance of communication?
Hey,
Um,
can I say something?
Well, grab a
The
mic.
importance of communication.
Grab a mic.
No.
Grab a mic.
The communication.
Well, we can hear you though.
The importance of communication. Because I didn't have a mic.
He
so
projects.
so I couldn't communicate. But I honestly didn't have an answer until I realized I couldn't communicate, and then that was the answer.
What is the importance of communication when
See,
you
if
can't
the
get your
pathway
point
isn't
across?
there, it's like you're unhealthy.
Say what?
What?
So if the pathway, because communication's like a bridge, right, between 2 points. If we assume that there's communication, there's 2 points are relaying information
Right.
between
A
each
and
other,
B.
right? And Z, and so before I didn't have an entry point. I didn't have this microphone. See? And now I'm not part of the conversation.
Now he's out.
Now there's no
Just like that.
Unless I really crank the
man,
brake.
I got really.
Now there's no communications.
I heard that one though. That was good. You have to. You gotta.
Well, I
meet
mean,
and greet.
if you want things to be realized,
Yeah.
you know, through others' abilities,
Exactly.
then for sure, you know.
You have to trust in other people.
But see,
to-
even I find words to be such a weak form of communication.
Weak.
I
Because-
definitely agree
because-
with that.
Because here's the thing: you have to define your words in order to actually convey a similar idea.
Exactly.
If that's your goal at all for communicating.
You have to have the
But-
same definitions.
But also,
Yeah.
yeah, feelings are very complicated and they're very unique to the individual. So it's really hard to know that, you know, my version of anger is the same as yours, or
Right.
sadness or happiness.
there is a
That's where
perspective
communication.
to the communicating.
Yeah, I personally like to communicate through this keyboard. It's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Tonight
Music
that was
is probably the universal language.
It's actually
really.
kind of crazy. The kind of like you kind of delve into someone else's mind when you're playing music with them
Right.
in a way that like you just wouldn't understand
Yeah.
otherwise.
It's just like how have we been able to like why can't that just be everybody's actual languge? You know, why can't we just
We
be
just-
like, you know, if you're going to the store, you just have a little bongo and you're like, "Da-da-da."
And that's how.
and
Yeah.
like, then they're just like, oh, okay,
But there would be problems with that too.
maybe
Because
that'll be the future.
Yeah.
is everybody using bongos or
You can
is it
have-
Depends on how dissonant the music gets to.
Yeah, different kind of music.
Yeah.
Like, if someone's playing a dissonant song, maybe they're like, it's like, oh, they must be upset. And then people are communicating more through feeling and less through like actual, you know,
I,
Well, the
Words.
thing is,
Everyone-
spoken
because
word.
even you're
Everyone.
communicating using frequencies at that
Everyone.
point, and we're all frequencies.
Everyone.
We're just energy, so we're gonna
Everyone.
communicate through ourselves.
it's
through
like
what we are.
there is like
Everyone.
legit backing of just energy. People having energy just through just
You are energy.
being like emotionally. You can tell when someone's up
Well,
or down or like and that's
because
what
of
people
positive
refer to
and
energy.
negative charge.
Right.
That's and it creates
keep the mic close to you.
there is like auras
Yeah.
around you, and you know when you bring out that positive energy, you'll always attract that.
So that's when people are like, I can see you with my third eye. It's like I'm seeing you, like I guess emotionally,
yeah,
Third eye's all
I
about
think-
intuition and
Yeah.
whatnot. Like, oh, I get a bad vibe from this
Yeah.
person. I'm seeing them through my third eye.
I think though music, like with words and the music, that has been one of the greatest ways of communicating emotion. Because I will say that like when I went through a breakup,
And then suddenly those songs that I'd never really paid attention to as much before that were about heartbreak started making a lot more sense to me and being like more personal. And
that's why they're so popular, man. You get a heartbreak song every day of the week.
And it's like you think that your breakup is so unique, and like you could say like to somebody like, "Fuck you, you didn't love her, like you loved a different girl," and they're like, but then you listen to a song and you're like, they understand, and it's like,
again, it all comes back to frequencies, even frequencies of your voice, your tone. But so much communication is nonverbal too.
So much communication is unimportant.
What I'm interested in is the communication that Earth is sending out into space through all of our radio stations. It's cool to think that there's a possibility that this conversation will be heard a million light years away from us. Give or take. I don't know numbers too well, but
if somebody's looking for radio waves, that would be a big thing.
Space
if they can
waves.
interpret what we're saying,
Maybe they're sending stuff out to us, but we don't pick up those kind of frequencies yet. So
they could judge through tone.
Maybe we're sending out stuff that we don't pick up.
They could judge through tone. So you would speak like, since we're chill and talking calmingly, they're probably they would listen to it and be like, it just sounds like
that's also assuming that they have the tools to hear anything.
Yeah, what if they don't listen?
To pick up frequencies between 20 hertz and 20 kilohertz.
But they could pick up that frequency and not translate it as sound too, the way that we hear things.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Do you think it is a physical phenomenon anyway? So
I always think too, to think about how much data is out there that we're just not receiving because we simply just don't have the tools to receive it.
Oh my God, you're right.
Our narrow slice.
We receive like light and a little bit of radiation through different spectrums, but we don't get maybe some big TV station of the galaxy because, maybe our antennas aren't.
Do you have fear of missing out?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
That's kind of why I like psychedelics, is because you get into a new perspective or seeing reality a way that you never could before, and then you just like, I've kind of stepped it through the lens a little bit. Well, that's why people always say like that enlightenment and stuff, that euphoria that comes.
That sounded like something from Rick and Morty.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Different tuning into your other stations.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're on an episode of interdimensional TV right now. So.
Yeah, constantly, really.
Yeah.
Man. There's some universe out there, Rick and Morty, you just tune into this channel and it's just like, oh, what the fuck is this?
Oh, gee, Rick, it's another one. It's another one of those shitty talk shows. Mori, just give it a second. Just give it a second. I think they're going somewhere.
Have we got season 4?
Oh, shit. Yeah. We're all looking forward to that season, though.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Oh,
long wait.
They've been really vague, but they're saying a lot, but saying nothing in their like little interviews about it.
They've been vague with their communication to us about season 4. So.
Damn them! But also, they're cool guys.
Yeah.
They're like, Rick's gonna make a decision, and then it's gonna have lots of consequences, and then he's gonna have to deal with that. Like, I don't know what to make out of that. Is that like really big?
Their mode of expression matches with what I'm looking for in form of entertainment. I'm like, oh yeah, I see that, and I'm entertained. I look at that, and it makes me feel.
Well,
stuff.
that's a communication right there.
Yeah.
Between you and the show, like they as much of a song can capture that feeling, so can something visual like television.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's what happens when you have like more than one sense, I guess.
Right.
Like you have so many different ways of taking in reality and communicating.
We've got a lot of ways to appease the senses.
You only communicate with like a cat the way that you can. Like you're not gonna.
Yeah.
You have an understanding at a certain level, and that's where your friend or your relationship.
But then you ask it, hey, go through that doorway. Come on, go through that doorway, please. Go through the doorway, and the cat just stands there.
Fetch me a beer.
It's just like
no. Only if that works.
My fiance is writing a little book, poetry book. It's all her cat's work. So every time her cats jump on her like typing keyboard while she's typing her essay, she like copy pastes it, and she's gonna just have this whole cat poetry book to read online.
I like that.
I mean, there's a demographic for everything out there.
There really is.
That's like coffee table art.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Hardcover.
It could be art. You take a little snap, put it on a wall. You're like, interesting.
But I think that's the cool thing about the internet too, is that everything that you can really think of is like pretty much out there, and like, and I think it's helped people feel like there's always a home for them, like, or there's always they know they're not alone, and at least something that
you got to be with people.
Yeah, and I think that goes.
You got to talk to people.
It's just disembodied information.
To anything, I guess.
Which is great because all of us were information, and we want to share that, and because we experience like first-person embodiment perspective, it's hard to get that information around that quickly, so we disembody the information and create the internet, and now we know, but we can always
know more,
know anything about anyone, connect to anyone. We can it's a free place to like experience some freedom.
Yeah.
Do you think that the internet has caused for better communication between people or worse communication? Because right now,
what form you're talking
the media is really separating the left and the right, which is creating a huge divide in people's viewpoints, and they feel attacked by each other.
It seems
I think that's that's kind of, but I think that's due to the emergence of social media.
Well, because anything can be said anywhere and everybody can see it.
Yeah.
So it's
going back to your question though, it depends on what type of information you want to transfer over. Because if you're gonna write text on a screen, then it's great for that. Because I can send you text. I can type text, and then those pixels will align themselves on your screen, and you will read and then get the words into, and it'll. But I mean, if you're talking about I don't know, conveying other ideas in the form of, because like communication itself, so much of how we transfer ideas over is nonverbal. Like if I'm in the room with you, I can read your face, your facial expression, your body language. Like if you're kind of leaning back a bit, maybe you're more relaxed, or if you're a bit tense, so we got anxiety. All that you can kind of pick up on just through looking at you and just seeing how your physical body's like aligned. It's so weird how we can pick that stuff up. But
and you don't pick that stuff up over the internet. Exactly.
Sarcasm gets missed more often than not.
It's like if I have to use this little, where is it? This little fucking rectangle here. If I have to use this device at all times, then if anything, I prefer to call. Or like a face chat, FaceTime. That's cool too. Yeah, because you get more information out of the
tone and stuff.
Yeah. Because texting is so inferior. I hate looking at this thing. I hate having to interface with it. Like it takes so much time to just say what you.
I like creative text. What I do in text is I purposely just do not use proper grammar. Like everything has to be in some weird like English, but with a lot of Z's, a lot of S's, a lot of weird stuff in between.
I like how you use a lot of periods in between.
A lot of periods, a lot of spaces. Like,
use periods.
It has to be,
like
like when I'm texting someone, I'm just gonna speak in a weird language that's personal.
Yeah.
And then it becomes fun for me because
I guess
the text become very interesting.
You build your own language with texting certain people.
That's what I feel.
Right.
That's what I feel like is really interesting right now with language, is that we all kind of learn the same grammar.
Do you think texting is making people better at writing?
I feel like some things that you want to communicate, it's clear if you do it in text. Some things it's funner if you do it in text. Some things it's not fun unless it's in person.
Right.
Different forms of communication. I feel like the text messaging is good and is bad in different, I don't know. I just don't have a problem with it.
Well, I think it depends what game you want to play with it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because if you're gonna play like a fun little I don't give a fuck kind of game, then it can be a great experience for sure. But but again, if you're just, you know, interacting with another person, you're trying to like just tell them something or something.
I feel like sometimes I would much rather talk to someone.
Oh, for sure.
Talk to them.
Oh, yeah.
Than text them.
But
then I'll hesitate to call because I rarely call people now in as a general thing.
Well, also when you call, you're live. You don't have a buffer.
I don't really like calling that much.
You like the buffer?
I usually just like to see the person. And
that's
talk
the
to them
thing.
in
I
person.
feel like,
or text
but
them.
I'm saying
but
if
I don't
we have
even
to interact
like
with these
texting.
rectangles.
One thing I do like to do when I text people though is I will play put a couple emojis, so it's like a sequence, almost like a scene of my emotions. You can get a lot more communicated with a few basic sequence to each other.
Yeah.
Like if something somebody said made me question for a second, and then I got it, and I was like, oh, you know, I would do like a couple faces so that they know that I was like, huh? Oh,
you should design your own emojis, you know? It's like draw something out.
That's like the next level. I mean,
or just Snapchat, you know, just.
I don't have that.
There's always ways.
It's like I'm one of the few humans that doesn't have Snapchat.
I guess
I
a lot of these.
I don't get the game of Snapchat. It doesn't make sense.
I don't know about the game.
It's kind of.
Oh, everything's a game.
Yeah.
That's a game. Oh, Snapchat's a game.
But I guess it is in a way, right?
Everything, yeah.
Because you have a score with people and stuff.
Yeah,
too.
for sure. There's prestige. Even like anything, Instagram, like your followers. How big is your number?
Yeah.
Oh, is your number higher than mine? Damn, does that mean are you better than me? Damn. I got more people who care about you because your number's higher.
Yeah, that's
You're
rough.
winning the game, man. Yeah, it's all
that's
prestige.
how it is. It is.
It's all prestige.
Just stay off the system, right?
I will say
that's how you win.
I do prefer it to texting someone just because you can send them like little things and just like I think it is just like it invites using the camera more than texting
I
does.
guess
And sometimes
it is another way to communicate through this.
You do want to just like do a little humor bit. Like sometimes that makes the conversation more fun is people just like showing you what they're doing, or like when you're talking to them, it's like, what are you doing? Instead of just texting, I'm at the park, you could just be like, hey, you know, I'm at the park, and just like make like a silly face. I don't know.
I'm the worst at responding to my phone just because like I don't like the interface. Just it's such a bad time for me. I'm like, I just don't care. Like, I don't know.
I love how
it's so easy to respond. Like, yeah, I get it. It is, but I don't like the experience. Yeah, it's easy.
I want something like
a bad time
like a Tony Stark invention. That's just like a little screen that floats in front of me, and I can just kind of like swat it away when I don't want it.
Like I don't like having to manage a physical device.
Yeah,
that's the problem with it. It's like I have to hold it and I have to interact with it physically. There's a physical component to it that I'm just like, oh, it's gonna take up my visual attention, my touch, my hands have to use it.
Well, that's why we need the next level, right? We need someone to be inventing the next stage of that. So that way it's becoming even more accessible to just like you blink and now you're using the internet, and now you blink again. And I don't know.
What happens in the day when we can just download our consciousness?
Man, this fucking this talk.
You wanna go there, huh?
So many times in deep talks, we always go to like
deeper.
AI. You always have to go to AI at some point.
Well, whenever we talk about the future.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing, right?
I'm gonna be doing disco dances with my AI. Like Ex Machina.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna download my conscious, no, because we'll have the option, sure. But I don't think I'm gonna do it.
There's gonna be a lot of people that opt out.
Well, because the thing that almost gives life meaning is the fact that we're mortal, that it's gonna end.
But then do you decide
end.
at some point if you do upload your consciousness, then when your consciousness lives for so many years, do you eventually even that decides like, man, I need to delete my memory right now.
Delete, but yourself.
Don't you become the property of whoever owns your server that you're on. Like, make sure you're not a slave to some corporate, you know.
That's
insane.
You want to be careful. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and then people can clone you. You can just copy files. So you can just copy, paste.
That's another
so you can
level.
Copy your data, your binary ones and zeros, and paste it somewhere and make a clone of you.
And now you're just like repeating over and over and over again. And now we've got multiverse theory.
I'm just saying, I'm not down with it. I think I'm gonna pass.
Okay.
I don't know.
Unless like it's
You know
already
what?
happened.
You
Cause
bring up
joins
a
us.
lot of good points, and
Hello,
I will
yeah.
actually probably pass too. I
So
do
wait.
like the idea that life is final, and you just kind of
Yeah.
have to accept that and enjoy it.
Yeah,
Make
mortality
the most
gives
of
it
like
meaning.
you got.
I think
Are we
now.
talking about like uploading our conscious to like?
Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, we went there.
We did.
We got deep.
That was very deep.
Fuck.
Another layer.
That's cool. I mean, why not? You know.
D-word.
D word.
That's the deep talk.
Is that the answer?
Oh, Chappie.
Chappie.
Uploading your content.
Oh, yeah.
To a bot.
Chappie was a pretty good example of like of what.
Of like accents. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of crazy accents.
A lot of accents.
But man, they really had some cool like ideas about, the spirit or the consciousness or whatever, and what is actually possible. Maybe you can maybe that's what it is to be ascending or something. Is like everybody just, eventually is uploaded somewhere.
I truly feel like when you die, your conscious doesn't. Like, you like exist within like how like you can think within your own head.
Yeah.
I feel like you'll be able to do that in like a different astral plane.
Yeah.
So you're like infinite technically, but
So many.
I guess
it's
we'll
interesting
find out
'cause,
when we
like,
die.
I was gonna say you'll only know
Well, you won't have the physical
in the
body,
end,
and
and you
have
won't
a
be able to
biological.
tell anybody.
Yeah.
So
Well, you won't have a biological component to you anymore.
that's true. Your
That's the
body's
weird
dead,
part.
Yeah.
Like your fingers, your whole the sense of the shape.
Well,
of your,
what do you
technically it's
think
all
the
your brain,
soul
right?
of a single-celled organism does?
what does the soul do?
What does the soul of
A
a
soul
single
lives.
Yeah, but
lives.
like a single-celled
Dies.
organism dies and then its soul goes somewhere else.
Does it?
True. It's all part of the cycle.
What is it doing? It's just
Well, we don't know,
What
right?
does it think?
Yeah.
We don't know at that level if how much of a.
I mean, technically,
soul.
like we're
Because
only
what does
interacting-
soul mean? Because soul means something. The human part of you, right?
Right.
The part we associate with the human, the caring, the consciousness,
character.
the everything.
Soul is the thought form,
And
which
if you think
which creates the character, which becomes you.
Yes.
But if
feel
you
like
think
also,
about
sorry, the soul is like attached to like the biological part of you, right? Like
yeah.
your brain is interacting with your identity.
Well, that sense
Yeah.
of self,
and you're
yeah.
constantly conflicting between like what you think is like right and what you're just like processing on a day-to-day basis. Without like sensory information, you'd be interesting. You'd be like a vegetable kind of, because you'd just be thinking about everything, but you can't like interact with
Yeah.
anything.
Whoa.
Well, if that's our
We're getting
sense of
deep.
soul, but if that's our sense of soul, and it's all based on the way we perceive ourselves in reality, and we know that a single-celled organism or any other kind of animal doesn't have that exact same thing we associate with our soul, like.
Oh, you're
soul
talking
is
about
so-
the spark of life? Are you talking about
No, I
that?
think
Or are you
he's
talking
talking
about
about, like-
soul?
I think he's talking about like the primal instincts that you have as like a being to survive, and then like the complications of humans, like on the topic of soul, like how we understand that, I guess maybe.
What is a soul if we define soul through our humanity?
Hang on. Let's just
Okay, no,
first, I want to hear your answer to what soul, because that's
Yeah,
the
'cause I
thing.
wanna hear
Because
what
when
you-
you're
yeah.
talking about
You
soul,
said soul leaving.
I want to
know
know
more about
what
that.
you mean.
Yeah.
What are you
Well,
vibing? What do you think?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just think that if you look at another animal that doesn't really think the way we do, or feel things or see things the way we do, it kind of tears down my idea of what everyone talks about a soul, because what we think of as a soul and what we talk about as a soul is always so dictated by our own senses, our own biology and all that. So it's like, what even is a soul if you were to jump into the brain of another animal, and that whole sense of self or that sense of soul goes away?
It's their consciousness, right?
Well, here's
Like,
the thing.
What is their consciousness?
When you were born, you weren't thinking of soul. You just were experiencing life.
And
And
it's-
then
Yeah.
one day you learned about these ideas, and soul, this idea started resonating with you really strong because you began to build personality and character. And now that you're a character in this world which you have a lot of identification with because the world is made out of really cool things and you like and you don't like. And then there's this programming that we all know because we've all adapted to it. This is the survival programming. And we don't really, right now, like the soul is such a topic because we're looking for a way to find something that is beyond what we see and what we touch. That is our essence.
I think with technology, there's been doors that have opened up for possibly for us to continue on, you know, past like the body in a way that we have already. People have had ideas of that in the past, but now it's actually becoming a reality through technology, which is crazy to think about.
That is, yeah.
But if we don't communicate this stuff as we go into the future properly, we're going to end up destroying ourselves with that technology that we could very well use to create.
I think you need to have one person with that idea, because that's what's going to keep us all from actually destroying. You need one person to say that shit. So I think that's why there's hope for humanity.
I'm going to be the dark cloud. There's no hope.
Dun dun dun.
And what do you guys think?
Yeah.
Leave comments.
Leave a comment. Also, have a good night.
Just have a good
I think
night,
we're gonna
sure.
close out for our episode, but we can keep on
right.
with the show after that.
Yeah, there's more to come from.
Yeah, you're leaving a lot of loose ends here.
Well, that's why
it's a cliffhanger ending. Is it?
That's the lovely part about
yeah,
Deep
because
Talk.
we want the rest of the conversation to be with the
with the audience.
The audience. Yeah,
right?
exactly. Hear their opinions. Well, read or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, feel free to toke along at home.
Toke along
and observe.
Talk, type, text.
Yes.
The whole shebang.
Communicate those observations.
Communicate indeed.
Yada yada yada.
All right. But yeah, we're gonna close out for our show, and we can keep on talking. This has been
the Toke and Talk Show
with Tanner,
Derek, and
the Observatory.
The Observatory.
The Observatory.
Yeah. We did not rehearse
this.
Yay, team observers.
Observing.
And we're out.
Thank you.